Can't say how the days will unfold.
Why did Grant Gustin say doing the musical crossover reminded him so much of Glee? And why did Danielle Panabaker decide to skip out on the musical episode? Why didn't Candice Patton sing in the crossover? Hi, I'm Joy, helping you find out if superheroes can really sing.
Hey.
Hey, Iris met you.
This is crazy.
Grant Gustin. The Flash is genuinely made up of characters that can pretty much do anything. I mean, we've witnessed them sprint at super speed, leap from the tallest buildings with so much ease it's insane, and even attempt to live normal civilian lives. But if that wasn't enough to have us mere mortals impressed, they reveal that most of the cast have another incredible superpower: amazing singing voices. Just ask Grant Gustin. In the latest musical crossover between The Flash and Supergirl, our main man Barry Allen, aka The Flash, decided to switch out his superhero spandex for some dancing shoes, and fans couldn't get enough. What's better is that he didn't even need an auto-tune or someone to sing for him. It was all Gustin. Now, if you're a true fan of The Flash, you'll remember that this isn't exactly the first time that we're seeing Barry take to the mic. Rewind a couple of episodes and we're taken back to a little karaoke night where he gives a pretty impressive performance of Summer Nights. And well, that's all we needed to know that Gustin could sing. But if you take a look at his resume, you'll know that he's always been able to belt out a good tune. Hello, he played on Glee for a number of years. But getting the chance to return to his singing roots surprisingly wasn't as much fun as he thought it would be. Why? Because he couldn't get over how much he loved being able to dance again. He was completely blown away by how much he loved it. Yeah, Gustin was bringing more than just his voice to the set of The Flash. Our superhero was bringing his tap shoes too, and he basically never wanted to take them off. Again, is there a superpower that he doesn't have? My true foundation was tap dance, so it's been cool to get back to it, said Gustin. Let the record show that Gustin did in fact sing all of the songs himself and danced all of the numbers without a stunt double. But do we expect anything less from a superhero? But apparently producers were expecting a little too much from Panabaker, because she refused to be a part of the musical crossover, and we're surprised at her reason why. Danielle Panabaker.
You're not much of a singer, and you're not much of a drinker.
You're gonna bring this place down.
Okay, quick spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode, firstly, where have you been? And secondly, you may want to skip past the next 30 seconds because we're about to drop a little spoiler. So don't say that you haven't been warned. Spoiler being dropped in 3, 2, 1. Danielle, aka Killer Frost, isn't in the episode, and as shocking as that is, there's a reason behind her absence. Turns out that Danielle does not sing at all. When she found out that The Flash would be doing a musical crossover, she was less than keen. Big musical numbers and dance routines just aren't her thing. To make matters more interesting, Danielle was shocked that the show even wanted to do a musical, especially since she's new to the whole DC world and had never heard of The Flash until she auditioned for the show. So she was definitely surprised by the little musical twist. And while she had briefly considered being a part of it, she couldn't keep a straight face. Turns out that every time she tried to sing a note, she would burst out into a fit of laughter whilst on set. And so, if anyone from the CW is watching this, please release those bloopers and behind-the-scenes footage because we'd love to see this. Besides having a serious case of the giggles, Panabaker was more than happy to let her co-stars have their moment without her. In fact, in an interview, Danielle was asked how she felt given the fact that many of her fellow castmates are triple threats. You know, being able to sing, dance, and act. And well, her answer is hilarious. I'm the worst person to ask because I'm not a triple threat. I am a triple threatening if you have me sing on the show, said Panabaker. So if you were hoping to see her belt out a few tunes or show us a few dance moves, dream on. And according to her Instagram page, the only time we'll see her singing is when she's in the rain with her friend. And it looks like Candice Patton was more than happy to avoid singing on the show, even though she's a main character. Candice Patton. Before we get into Candice potentially singing on the series crossover, can we just take a moment to appreciate that scene between Iris and Barry after being rescued by the Music Meister's alternate reality? I mean, he walks up to the loft and cues one last tune for us all, a love ballad called Runnin' Home to You, and re-proposes to Iris. Cue all of the happy tears. And while many were hoping that Iris would maybe throw in a couple of lines into the song, it seemed like the only one singing between these two lovebirds would be Barry. And so if you were hoping or wondering if Candice was actually singing in this crossover, just know that she wasn't. Sorry guys. Much like Danielle Panabaker, singing just isn't Candice's thing, even though her voice sounds pretty good here and she wasn't even trying.
I'm stuck on my pants.
but given how important she is in the storyline, they decided to keep her in the crossover regardless. Patton later shared that she had no musical background, so doing a whole lot of musical numbers just didn't seem like the best fit. She also found it to be a little intimidating going up against a lot of her fellow cast members who have experience either on Broadway's or leading a little impromptu singing scene on Glee. But don't get it twisted, Candice loved that the show's creators were willing to put a new fun angle on the original comic book. She also sings her praises for the writers, see what we did there? Who were able to blend two superhero shows with a musical, because that is no easy feat, and we couldn't agree more. But that doesn't mean that superheroes don't have their bad days. Just ask Melissa, who almost derailed the entire production schedule. Melissa Benoist.
Broadway was originally what I always wanted. That was my dream before television, film, anything else.
Okay, so we know that this video is all about the Flash cast, but this was a musical crossover, so it wouldn't make sense to ignore the one and only Supergirl. Now, as much as we'd all like to become superheroes, there are a few job requirements that you have to meet. From being able to look totally kick-ass when battling against villains, to rocking a full latex outfit, being a superhero is rather demanding. But the most surprising requirement was that the superheroes needed to sing, which was a surprise for Melissa. The 32-year-old actress later discovered that her character would have to sing her way out of trouble. But once again, Supergirl proves that there isn't anything she can't do as she proceeds to sing. And incredibly well, we might add. But this isn't that much of a surprise for those of you who are big Melissa Benoist stans, because much like Grant, she was also on Glee. Yep, this musical episode titled Duet was basically a giant Glee reunion. So naturally, it's kind of obvious that Melissa sang every single song herself. And fans were so obsessed with her song River that they bombarded the network with requests for the song to be released. Now, while the final version of the song is amazing, it turned out that much like her superhero character, she would have to overcome a major crisis. On the day of the recording, Benoist got sick. And we mean really sick. She was nauseous, congested, and absolutely exhausted. But she couldn't wreck the scheduling plan, so she pushed through and soldiered on. And if we're being honest, you can't even hear that she wasn't feeling great at all, which only makes us even more obsessed with her than before, if that's even possible. And it turns out that during filming, Carlos Valdes had to overcome his own obstacle. Carlos Valdes—
Hey, Iris met you.
Carlos will be the first person to tell you that while putting on a musical crossover is a lot of fun, it's a lot of work too, especially for him. Carlos shared that he found making the musical crossover to be surprisingly difficult, even though he had a background in Broadway. Now, we know what you're probably thinking. Surely being from a musical background is a bonus. Well, not exactly. Turns out that Carlos is used to working on a large stage, so having to adapt his movements for the small screen was an adjustment. But he's a pro and a total natural, so he adjusted quickly. Thankfully, being back in the recording studio was a lot easier for him. When asked if he was at least a little nervous, he reassured us that he is totally comfortable showing off all the stuff he learned on Broadway. You know, I have to say, I'm not really that nervous. I mean, this is sort of my bread and butter. This is the world that I come from. Add to the mix that he's a major fan of singing, and presto, we've got a musical episode. Carlos also let us in on a little secret that the show's producers tried to match the songs to the actors' personalities so that it was a good fit. A lot of the dance moves were also tailored to each actor's dancing ability, and we just loved that the show's producers were so accommodating to everyone involved. Jesse L. Martin.
That was
Actually,
good.
I got to sing twice on that
You
show.
did, and you have such a beautiful voice.
Oh, you're sweet.
Come on, do you want to sing for me now, cutie? Come on! Just a little something.
Open your door, I'll be your tenant.
It looks like Jesse's coming to our rescue and eagerly heading into the recording studio for our listening pleasure. That's right, Jesse actually lent his voice to the musical crossover, which we aren't exactly surprised about. Obviously, Jesse would want to sing his own songs, especially when we think back to when he was on the musical series Smash. So singing isn't exactly new to the 52-year-old actor. But fun little fact, this isn't the first time that Martin has graced the Flash with his incredible singing voice, but fans were excited to see him do a little great ballad alongside Victor Garber and John Barrowman. What's better is that in this fantasy version, which is filled with so many musical delights, Martin has a casual character switch and appears as a gangster, which was a fun and interesting addition to the storyline. They sing the song More I Cannot Wish You, and it's definitely a song that deserves a spot on your playlist. Given Martin's super musical background and love for the arts, having him do his own vocals was an absolute no-brainer for the show's producers. And we have a sneaky suspicion Martin will probably be doing a few more songs in the future. Could we also get some more tap dancing too?
Yeah!
Fingers crossed. But we want to know what your thoughts were on the musical crossover. Did you think it worked? And what would you say was your absolute favorite song? Share all of your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Thanks for watching.